I've earmarked 3 teams for us to discuss this episode. 3 teams that we expected better from. Is Eddie Howe the man?
If you could trade Mikel Arteta for Carlo Ancelotti, would you? If Eddie Howe doesn't have enough in the bank to see himself through a bad period, then what manager does?
Yeah,
it's
good.
on par an all-time Premier League great.
And I'm talking to all the Arsenal boys out there. It's not time to panic, but it is time to take a look in the mirror and be like, boys, fuck up your idea.
Hey. Darts fever has officially gripped the United Kingdom, the world, in a brand new year, 2024. We're here. It's BoreDraw.
It's BoreDraw.
Episode number
77, baby.
100 coming soon.
Shout out Luke Littler. Shout out Luke Humphreys. What a final. Coming
Shout out
on
Luke
tonight.
Graham. Well, no,
Shout out all the Lukes. Come
it's the
on.
year of the Lukes, baby. We're like 3 days in.
Okay. Yeah, darts final tonight. Let us know in the comments. I know the fucking final would have happened by now.
Yeah, it would have happened yesterday.
What final it was, mate.
Yeah, unbelievable. I can't believe Luke won.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
anyway.
Luke deserved to win that, so congratulations to Luke.
We aren't talking darts, we're talking Premier League football, and we're actually talking Premier League stinkers.
Yeah, it's a big stinky episode. Not the content, the teams we're about to discuss.
I've earmarked 3 teams for us to discuss this episode. 3 teams that we expected better from. 3 teams that are letting everybody down at the moment. And where better to start than a team that conceded the most XG ever in a Premier League football game.
Yeah, do you remember was it last season, we were talking about how you said there's never been a game where a team has had 0 XG and Leicester were the first to do it.
Yeah, against Arsenal.
Yeah. And now we've seen like the opposite.
Yeah, and now we've seen... And in a game where, like, yes, Liverpool, so we're talking Liverpool-Newcastle finished 4-2. And Liverpool, I think, finished the game with like a 7.6 XG, something like that. Crazy.
If there's one team in the Premier League that's going to do it, though, it was going to be Liverpool.
Yeah, but like Liverpool slapped United 7-0.
Bournemouth like 9.
Leicester have won 9-0 before.
Yeah.
Like, there's been big games. It's crazy that like
Southampton are not in the Premier League anymore.
But it's crazy that like these those games had an accumulatively lower XG than this game. But
so what's nuts as well is that we're going to do like a deep dive into Newcastle now, but it happened against a good team who are playing poorly, albeit, but a team whose one of their main strengths has been their defensive solidity.
Yeah.
Their ability to stop the opposition from having chances. They stop them high up the pitch. So for me, that is incredible. And Liverpool are the real deal.
They are indeed, but we aren't talking Liverpool. We're talking what is going wrong with Newcastle. I said on the podcast, I think it was fresh after their Champions League exit, I said, is Eddie Howe the man? And I said no. I said they should be looking at Jose Mourinho. They should be looking at Carlo Ancelotti. They should be looking at upper echelon managers.
These are top tier managers.
Someone in the ilk of Unai Emery, who, yes, might not have an outstanding CV like Mourinho and Ancelotti, but he's got pedigree. He knows how to handle a big squad. He knows how to handle European football and domestic competition. Something that Eddie Howe, I don't think, has ever been exposed to. And that might be the downfall of Newcastle. We'll go on to their injury list. And I think that is a key factor into why they've been so poor recently.
Got a question for you.
But is that Eddie Howe squad management?
Slight question.
Hit me.
You're talking about managers with pedigree, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you swing in your direction.
Come on.
If you could trade Mikel Arteta for Carlo Ancelotti, would you?
If you told me Carlo Ancelotti had 5 more years, I'd say yeah.
Yeah, say he's gonna come in, you're gonna give him a 3-year contract minimum.
5. I
feel like there's like maybe Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, and then I struggle to think of managers who wouldn't be replaced by Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you tell me Carlo's gonna not retire for 5 years. Because I don't want a bit of a mercenary job where he does like the 3-year thing, gets us a couple of trophies and then fucks off. 5 years of Carlo, we win good stuff in 5 years. I think I'd trade him for Arteta.
Well, I think...
and there's not a lot of managers out there I would trade for Arteta.
Yeah, I mean...
But Carlo is the guy.
You know the meme with the guys on the chicken sandwich like this?
Oh, yeah, nobody's going to steal it
from
you.
Yeah, someone's like, we better lock Arteta down to a contract.
Yeah, I saw that actually, yeah.
But yeah, for me,
But Eddie Howe,
if Eddie Howe doesn't have enough in the bank to see himself through a bad period, then what manager does? He took them from relegation favourites to a top 7 finish, top 8 finish.
Yeah.
Then got Champions League football and finished 3rd in the league or 4th in the league.
4th, yeah.
Took them to PSG, slapped PSG in the home field. And I know the results for the rest of Champions League were not good enough. And you can't live off of one good result. But we look at their injury list. Their injury list is incredible. They've had the largest injury list in the Premier League since the beginning of the season.
Yes.
Probably the largest injury list in the world. It's never ending. Their doctors are working overtime right now. Their physios working overtime. Is it all down to, though, their style of play?
I think that's a very good point. Because I've said a couple of times on the podcast, do Newcastle have a style of play beyond being overly physical? And is that style of play of being overly physical causing too many injuries?
I think their work rate on the pitch, they outwork their opposition like every game. And you can only do that so long before it takes a toll. You look at Spurs and Angeball, it happens.
Yeah.
Like their players
pulling up
like flies.
Yeah.
Look at Bielsa.
Yeah.
Leeds players, Bamford constantly out injured. Calvin Phillips constantly out injured. Struijk, Ayling, all these players constantly out injured. Cooper. Do you know what I mean? Like that is the part and parcel of when you play high intensity football, you lose players.
Facts. I think another, and I think it definitely is that. I think it's a combination of Eddie Howe never really being exposed to European football and not having the know-how of how to manage a squad that plays weekend, midweek.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that coupled with their overly physical play style, which is taking a toll on the players. And another thing I want to bring up, I think they've got quite a lot of just injury-prone players in that team anyway. Harvey Barnes, always injured at Leicester. I think he's a quality player, but he's got a poor injury record. He's been out 23 games already he's missed in his Newcastle career. Fucking Joe Willock has a poor injury record. Callum Wilson, prime example, quality player on his day. One of the best strikers in the league on his day. But
he's a person who likes to call for the fact that there's too many games in a season now. But mate, he's got like a little 1 week break and he's jetting off to Dubai.
It'd be what it'd be.
I'm not being funny here, but like if you're that tired,
you're
staying. Mate, you look at your wages, man. It's ridiculous. Like if you're getting paid 200 grand a week or 150 grand a week or whatever, I expect you to give up some things.
Yeah, you don't need a week in Dubai.
I like Callum Wilson as well. I think he's a quality player.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best strikers in the league, but he's got a proven injury record, and I think
since his Bournemouth days as well.
Exactly. So it's hard to kind of get players that have a proven injury record, get them into an overly physical team, and expect them to not get injured quite a lot. And I think one of the main injuries they've got is Nick Pope, and I think him falling out of that team. Depraga, he saved a pen against Salah, but he's been pretty poor.
I thought he was quite good for that first half.
He had a good game.
I thought, he was. I mean, 7 point whatever XG against you, and you only keep it to 4 or whatever.
Yeah, and then you got Trippier who's injured at the moment. Had an absolute downturn in form at the moment. So yeah, that defence is. I think Botman's only just come back from a long-term injury, so it's same with Dan Burn.
There are still bright sparks in that team. I really like Livramento. I think he's so really good. Miley, what a revelation he's been. He's been brilliant since he's come into the team. I love to see it. It's fantastic. Alexander Isak, still fantastic. Anthony Gordon, he's done so well this season. We're not seeing the same sort of output.
Last couple of games, though, he's looked leggy, and I think that's just a case of they've got no replacements. So players that are on the edge of fitness, a full squad, you'd get subbed out. They can't.
It's like, you know, when you're playing FM and your players are at like 70%.
Yeah, like fitness, low, orange.
But you like, it's like that, or you've got to play like a youth team player against like Man United.
And
like,
get
you can't.
Fucking rotted.
Like, you'd rather take the 70 and just hope your player doesn't pull up.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, Eddie Howe's got to have enough credit in the bank. If he, as a manager, does not have enough credit in the bank from what he's done, I think if you ask every Newcastle fan, they will still back him. I think you've got to give him at least to the end of the season.
9th in the league, though. What if he does this season and they get no European football?
I think that's just that is paramount and testament to how much the Premier League has grown. It's such a contested. I mean, between first place in the Premier League and like fourth is 5 points.
I'm worried for Newcastle that if they don't get European football again, their best players, Guimaraes, will get snapped up. Sven Botman will get snapped up.
Look at the real world, Rosario,
who else is a baller? Livramento gets snapped up. Anthony Gordon gets snapped up.
Look at the real world.
Isak, trust me, a big boy will come in and get Isak if they don't play European football.
But that just allows them to go buy more players. They have the funding now.
That's true.
They are sponsored by a state.
They are the richest club in world football.
Mate, they're going to be able to spend ridiculous amounts of money. And they can fund that as well through FFP because they have a fantastic fan base.
Yeah, that is
true.
They
generate so much revenue. They've got a massive stadium, mate. Do you see where we were standing for that Sam Fender one?
Shout out Sam Fender.
It's nuts. It's huge. They're such a huge club.
You're spitting off.
They will be fine.
I think maybe I forgot that they are the richest club in football.
They won't disappear.
No.
They're not going to... It's not like a Leicester where... Leicester could only still spend so much and then they had their best players stripped from them because Leicester had to abide by rules. These rules don't exist for this team anymore.
Come on. Okay, so before we move on from Newcastle, I want to run you through their last 6 Premier League results. And I want to kind of get your kind of take on what's going wrong here. So, most recently, the 4-2 loss to Liverpool that we spoke about.
Liverpool, I'll give you my opinion on each game. I think Liverpool are a fantastic team. Very underrated. Don't think they're the finished product either.
I agree.
But I also think there's a lot of teams in the Premier League who are worse off than last season.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Liverpool have gotten better.
That's true. Chris Wood masterclass in a 3-1 loss to Nottingham Forest.
They've got that new manager bounce, which there's a lot of research that shows that new manager bounce is a myth. But you're always fearful when you're one of the first teams to come up against a fairly new manager. But Nuno he gets big scalps.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So, but Nottingham Forest, they are on poor run of
but
form.
Chris Wood was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's true.
But they've gone on and beaten Man United as
okay, fair enough. We'll call that a freak result then. But before that, a 1-0 loss to Luton.
Can't be losing to Luton. That was at Kenilworth Road, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So maybe you can.
No, but still. But Luton are good. But
got to get a result.
For me, you can't be losing to Luton. If you've got Champions League aspirations.
3-0 win versus Fulham.
Great result.
Great result, maybe.
Fulham doing the business recently.
Patching over some cracks. Prior to that, 4-1 loss against Spurs. Got absolutely turned over in this game.
Yeah, absolutely outworked, outrun, outpressured. Yeah.
And then prior to that, 3-0 loss to Everton.
Everton are good though.
Everton are good.
Like, I'm saying
you can't be like out of all these 5 losses, yeah, the other team are good. The other team.
Spurs this one is worse because they had a couple opportunities to get a few goals, missed them, and Spurs could have had about 8 in about the first half.
Yeah.
And for me, you can rely on the fact that you got an injury list, fine. But Spurs have a bad injury list as well.
Facts.
I think they were missing Romero, Van der Ven for that game, Maddison.
Yep.
So yeah, for me, the excuses can only go so far. But Eddie Howe's got enough in the bank for me.
So that was going to be my last question. Eddie Howe, what do we do with him? Do we get rid of him?
If you want to get rid of him, you should have done it last week.
Well, you see Carlo Ancelotti signed a new deal at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Fucking this dude's been banging on for weeks that he's going to Brazil. I knew he wasn't.
He's going to do it one day.
I knew he wasn't. Right. Okay. So that was Newcastle. They're top of the... I've been tweeting a lot about an inquest list, about teams that I think we need to have a chat about. And this is pretty much what this video is. So next on the inquest list is my beloved Arsenal. Oh dear, oh dear.
What a drop-off. I mean, for me, since the beginning of the season, I've said it, not playing as well as last season. Going forward, they're not as decisive. Defensively, not bad. I think still the second best defensive record in the league behind Liverpool. I think Liverpool conceded 18, you conceded 21.
I can imagine those last 2 games have probably fucked it up, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But that's what happens when you lose games. Liverpool lost 1 game all season, and that was a terrible result. Down to VAR. But yeah, for me, Arsenal's fall-off is massive. And
it
makes less sense to me because they've gone back to that Saliba, Gabriel backline. They've got brought in Declan Rice, so between those 3, you should concede no goals. I think Ben White's not as good as he was last season. Left back is still a massive issue. Obviously, Timber being out is just not great.
Yeah.
The goalkeeping situation he's brought upon himself. I think that's the biggest fuckery he's ever made, and he's probably regretting it. Did you hear about? Apparently, they've got Spanish-speaking goalkeeper coaches who only speak in Spanish.
Did I not tell you that?
No, I read it on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I mentioned that a couple of
times. That's workplace racism, bro.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Mate, imagine you go to your job tomorrow, and they just start speaking like, I don't know, Dutch. Because,
Vietnamese,
yeah, I don't know. You'd be fuming.
Yeah, 100%. That's 100%.
But yeah, he's done that himself. Martinelli's really not hit the same form. I know he struggled a little bit with injury this season, but for me, Saka as well. His numbers aren't bad, and we said this. I think I said this last episode. As testament to how good he is and how good he's been. But I'm not seeing the same vindication from him.
Well, you said it, like the decisiveness in around the final third is just not there. And
I saw Lee Judges saying a lot as well. Saka's got the most chalky boots because he doesn't move from the touchline.
Yeah.
And at the minute, he's not.
Well, I
Ben
think
White doesn't overlap.
There's such a problem there's a problem everywhere in terms of the front line.
The left side of the pitch is weak.
The left side of the pitch is so weak. We haven't got a set left centre mid, so it's Havertz, it's Trossard, it's Smith Rowe whenever he gets a bloody 5-minute cameo. It's fuck knows who plays there, but that's a mess.
Sack of Partey as well, because that's all but confirmed. Get him out of there.
Oh mate, he's on lockdown.
He's not even in the AFCON squad for.
Well, apparently
because Ivory Coast
they get like extradition laws in Ivory Coast, which is mad.
Nuts.
Yeah, so that left side.
It's not nuts, but
that left side of pitch is a mess because Martinelli, I think he's hugging the touchline too much as well when he is a kind of in the box, kind of making runs inside, kind of like Salah. You see Salah making those inside runs. That's what Martinelli did so well.
Martinelli has all the ability to be better than Saka as well.
Yeah, I think he's probably more technically gifted, but
ceiling's higher.
Yeah, it's worrying times for going forward, and I think that kind of begs the question: Gabriel Jesus, do we need a striker in January?
100%. What has Eddie done this season?
No, and there's talks about like Crystal Palace wanting Eddie, and Arsenal aren't willing to sell, and it's like,
mate, if you get 40 million for Eddie, which is probably about what you would get,
yeah,
I think you've got.
And then the issue with like Ivan Toney costs 100 million, they don't want to spend 100 million. I get that you don't want to spend 100 milliin on Ivan Toney.
If you sell Eddie when he's 40, and then you get that's 60 million for Ivan Toney on the books.
So, let's hit you with Arsenal's last 5 fixtures. So 2-1 loss against Fulham.
You're the worst team.
So poor.
Calvin Bassey, by the way,
mate.
Maldini masterclass.
It's one of those when a player has a storyline, they just absolutely either have the best game of their life or the worst game of their life. And because he got sent off last game against us, he was bound to have an absolute fucking corker.
Arsenal, it's so good. I think is it SofaScore the one of the stats pages?
Yeah,
they've got Anthony Robertson in the team of the season so far.
Yeah, good player.
Like an average rating of 6.9. He tweeted, I think he put on his Instagram a picture of like, you know, the picture of like the Marines around the corner and there's just a clown.
yeah.
Put it out.
I like that.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, no, but apparently I see stats about him. He's like the only player in like Europe's top 5 leagues to have like over 20 interceptions, tackles, blocks. Yeah, he's a good player.
Very underrated player.
Yeah, but yeah, 2-1 loss against Fulham. I agree. We were hog shit that game. So like dull. Our kind of build-up play was so slow, passive. Slow. And Fulham were just exploiting us so easily. West Ham, 2-0 loss. Interesting one. West Ham were clinical, kind of decisive in the final third, which Arsenal won. Mate, another one. Ex-Arsenal player, busts out game of his life. And his storylines are problems.
Mate, him and Ogbonna.
Yeah,
is Ogbonna an all-time Premier League great?
Come on.
I remember, was it him back in the day from Torino?
Shout out Angelo,
like 80 pace.
Italian hero. But yeah, that game, Arsenal, I think, had the most shots of a team in the season, apart from Liverpool against Newcastle. So that was an interesting one. But like, it's not.
They weren't good shots.
Yeah,
they weren't high value shots. You can take pot shots all you like, but Alphonse Areola is a very good keeper.
So yeah,
you know what I mean.
Shit result. 1-1 against Liverpool. That was a good game. Arsenal gave as much as they got. I think it was a 50-50 game. Liverpool had their moments.
You know what you done? You cursed it because you said in a video. Oh, we said in the last video where we did our team of the season so far.
Yeah.
Said Gabriel and Saliba climbed all over Van Dijk. And what happened in the next game? Mavropanos just bodied them.
I think what jinxed it is, do you know when we were doing our percentages? And Opta had it still Man City. I had it 50-50 and you had it clear Arsenal.
Yeah.
You fucked me.
No, I didn't want Arsenal.
You scumbag. So yeah, that Liverpool game 50-50. A 2-0 win against Brighton where we dominated. I said,
and you never dominate Brighton.
And De Zerbi came out and said, like, Brighton never get dominated like this. This is like one of the best performances. I mean, you saw Arsenal are the best team in the league by far.
After the game against his game against someone, he was at a press conference and then he was like, "Oh, Arsenal lost 2-0."
Yeah, so it was literally when we lost against West Ham, and he was having So that's baffling that we can go from in a space of 3 games. A 2-0 win against Brighton, probably our best performance of the season, maybe barring that Man City result, to a 1-1 draw against Liverpool where we normally go to Anfield and get absolutely fucked.
I think you were lucky in that game as well. I think you were very good for probably 30% of the game, better than Liverpool were for the rest of the 60. But Liverpool
had chances.
Liverpool were the team for me that I thought would go likely to take out 2-1.
Yeah, but like I said, we go to Anfield, we get fucked.
Yeah, it's not a bad result on paper.
And then literally after those two really solid results, where if you gave me those two fixtures, Liverpool and Brighton, I'd be like, oh, lucky if we come out of that with 3 points. We got 4, so that's good. Should go to Fulham and West Ham where we should be dropping 6 points to get 0 and put our 2 worst performances of the season. What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know. And for me, I look at your goals that you scored. So obviously the set piece against Liverpool, fair enough. You've got a big team. Gabriel's always brilliant at corners. You've got great delivery.
Facts.
The goal against Fulham was a very weird sort of like through ball that it like bounced in off Saka, didn't it?
Yeah,
the back post. That creativity going forward is not there for me.
We're lacking big time.
You're relying on Bukayo Saka cutting in and absolutely skinning the man and having a good game to get goals now. Gabriel Jesus pops up occasionally, but it's not consistent enough. You almost need someone behind him in that midfield 3 who's going to pop up with more goals.
I think he needs to come back. I've seen people talk about him playing that left centre mid role and then get like a, I don't know, Havertz up top or a Tony up top, because you notice the games when Jesus isn't playing because we're not as ferocious in our press. We're not as ferocious in like kind of playing around the front.
If you have Trossard there, he's not a striker. Eddie's not good enough in my opinion.
Oh, you're talking about like right at the top.
So yeah, if you're like, and so you notice when he's not there because he is such a high caliber player, but he's not the answer. I don't think for you. I don't think he's that answer. Like you need that other sort of string on your bow where you can, all right, switch out. Let's go for a different approach here. I never see you put a ball into the box.
Nah, it's rough, and I think that comes as a part and parcel with the fact that we've always been this team that like walks the ball into the goal, and I think there is an element of that. I think our kind of build-up play is so regimented and so kind of we have patterns of play, and if we got to stick to them, even if the passing lanes aren't there to cut through, we start again and make the same passages of play. And like you said, we haven't got a plan B where back in daylight, say we fucking lump Giroud up top and bang balls into the box. We don't really do that anymore. And I think we've got issues in our build-up play, like we've said. I think Odegaard and Saka, that pairing that worked so well last season isn't working for me this season.
I think Odegaard's role is changed. It's changed 3 times in 3 seasons.
I think we're missing Xhaka a lot.
Last season he was unbelievable.
Missing Xhaka, massive loss. I think he opened so much space for Martinelli last season. He would drop deep and allow Martinelli to make those inside runs I was talking about and play balls. He's
players that brings the intensity on the pitch.
So he's a big loss.
Doesn't have that intensity.
No.
Trossard doesn't have that intensity, and he's probably on that left hand side. Xhaka, guiding Martinelli, guiding Zinchenko. They probably felt safe when he was there because they could do what they wanted to do. Zinchenko's washed.
Zinchenko is fucking. It's a tricky one though because he is so fucking bad defensively.
But he's not. You can't have him in the left midfield
but
either.
You know, it's not even just like having him in the left midfield, but like he needs to either be playing a left back and come in because Declan Rice on his own can't do the kind. He doesn't offer enough passing options for the front line. Whereas when Zinchenko tucks in, you've got double the kind of passing lanes and the opposition midfield kind of have to cover more space. Whereas whether it's just Declan Rice, once you block off his passing lanes, it's sideways passes.
I'm saying, yeah, just to round it out a little bit, if you get to the end of the season and you've made, let's say, semi-finals of Champions League and you finish 3rd in the Premier League, but you don't win anything else, is that a good season? Or is it time to start questioning Arteta?
It's not a good...
Because that's a lot of meaningless silverware.
Yeah.
Effectively. Well, you got
semi-final of the Champions League would get me semi-gassed.
That is good.
Yeah. It depends who we lose to in that semi-final, I guess. Like, if we fucking go there and it's like a stinker of a team and we go out, then I'd have to chin Arteta. But if we lose to Man City in the semis, I can understand why we'd go out. 3rd in the Prem. Like I said, the Prem's tight this season, but I think I go back to it. We need silverware, mate. And I think I gave him at the start of this season and next season to get us major silverware, not Carabao Cup, not Community Shield. I'm talking, and maybe not even FA Cup, you know.
I don't think the FA Cup's good enough.
I'm talking Prem or Champions League in the next 2 years. And I think 3rd place, if it's tight, and a semi-final in the champ, I wouldn't be throwing my
Do you
toys
think
out.
it's progress though?
It is, because Arsenal, as far as I've known them in not recent years, but like European football's been bad. And then when we were in the Champions League towards the end of Arsene Wenger's tenure, it was either don't get out of the group at all, or get out of the group and get slapped in the first round of 16 by Bayern, like
still
10-2. It could do. So
who have you got?
we got Porto.
It's not as easy as you think.
No,
like,
fucking I hear scumbags saying
like
Porto's
it's one
an
of the
easy
ones
draw.
you'd rather have.
Yeah.
But obviously you've won your group. So
You want to be Man City, just pull
get, like,
Copenhagen every
Copenhagen,
single time. But yeah, Arsenal, I think there is, and I'm talking to all the Arsenal boys out there, it's not time to panic, but it is time to take a look in the mirror and be like, boys, buck up your idea.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of players, especially, I was going to say mainly in the front line, but you could even talk about Ben White, who I agree, Zinchenko, who I agree, and the goalkeeping thing fucking is a farce. A lot of those players in the Arsenal team that were performing out their skin last season.
It's amazing what a bit of loss in mentality can do.
You need to get
a little
back
bit
up
of
there,
belief can go a long way. Right,
You
let's
should
round
do some
out
squad
our
building, go like paintballing or something together. Fucking all get injured.
Mate, but they'll all be
Yeah,
missing.
yeah, come on.
'Cause they
Right.
can't score.
Right at the end of our inquest list, probably the team in the worst form in the Premier League, and a team that you'll probably be buzzing to see struggling at the moment.
I actually don't care. I'm so far removed from what good football is. QPR are good, yeah, and we got absolutely skived against Ipswich. The EFL referees are a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. We should have had 2 Stonewall penalties against Ipswich.
I saw one of them.
The
Yeah.
98th minute, mate.
Yeah.
It comes off his arm so clearly.
I think I saw the other one where he kind of like
And
dragged
he
him down in
pulls
the
the
box.
player
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Mate, it's nuts. That would have been so good, but now we're 5 points off safety again. But you're only as good as your points on the table. So I still believe in Marty, though. If we go down, stick with Marty.
Well,
But yeah,
the
Brentford,
fact
mate,
that you're not bothered by Brentford makes me think that you've kind of warmed to them as a Premier League team.
No, I still think they're... I respect them for what they've done.
Exactly, and that's
because I wish
testament.
that was what we done.
Exactly, so that's testament to the job that Thomas Frank has done. And
He's
his time.
still a weird guy.
So what is this? This is their third season in the
yeah.
Prem. So I think they came into the Prem and everybody was like, oh, kind of unknown quantity.
Same with Luton, little old Brentford.
Had a very good first season in the Prem, I think, mid-table. And then second season, they were one of the better kind of non-Big Six teams in the Prem. They got so many scalps. I think they did the double over Man City last season.
Yeah, that late Tony goal.
So they're a good Premier League side now. Like, wouldn't be worried about relegation at all if I was Brentford.
But they've been at the centre of a couple scandals.
Scandal.
Mainly one in Ivan Toney. That's like, if it was like Kevin Schade, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
But Ivan Toney's a massive loss. What was it, 18 goals last season?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
One of the best. I think when we did our striker tier list, he was the second best striker in the Premier League.
Yeah, probably like pure out-and-out striker.
I think he is, yeah.
Massive loss. He's back in training. He's ready to go, I think, from...
I reckon he's going to come back and be cracked out of his mind.
Well, good? Or...
Yeah, so like, I reckon like drops a hat-trick first game.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting to see what...
And he's put a bet on himself to score a hat-trick.
it'd be interesting to see what team shirt he is wearing when he comes back to do that.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
But... Well, see, that's a massive reason to why Brentford aren't at their strength this season. But they started the season fairly well. I mean, and Burma was scoring a lot of goals. Johan Visser was popping up with a few goals. We were liking the likes of their Rico Henry and Hickey, who is that centre-back, Ethan Pinnock. Very good.
Christoph Ayer.
Ayer as well.
Ben Mee. That was a nice little back line.
Then they lost Raya, who was one of their best players last season, and he's gone on to Arsenal to be very average. So I don't think they were too worried about that, because I think they were planning to replace him anyway.
Yeah, although I don't think Flecken is that guy.
No, he's not that guy. But then it just gets weird. Like, I like Norgard. I think Janelt's good.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of underrated players. But let's talk about...
But they didn't get Ericsson.
What is going on... That's true. What is going on in the league. So they're 16th in the league. They are... Let me just hit you with that. 19 points. So they're 4 ahead of relegation zone. 5 losses in 5 is not good enough, no matter what team you are. If you're a relegation candidate, that's relegation form. That is fucking relegation fodder. And
the teams they lost to are the main issue.
The problem. Let me run you through the losses. And I think take in mind before I say the results, keep a track of how many goals they've conceded here. Last game, 3-1 loss to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace on a terrible run of form. Hodgson was on the verge of being sacked. They were talking about Stevie Cooper. They were talking about...
You said this to me, I think, on New Year's Eve. As soon as Hodgson's under a little bit of pressure, they pull out a few results.
He does. So 3-1 loss against Crystal Palace, not good enough. 4-1 loss against Wolves. Yes, Wolves, we've rated what Gary O'Neill's doing.
Wolves, but...
They were at home and they lost 4-1 to Wolves. That's not good enough.
I mean, Wolves and Crystal Palace as well are two teams where I think Brentford should be of that level. Brentford are, beginning of the season for me, as good, if not better, than
last
Crystal
season,
Palace
they finished
and
ahead of
Wolves.
both of them. So they're a better team than both of them, in my opinion. Better squad.
Better performance, though, against...
Aston Villa, 2-1 loss.
Villa
That's
were
all right.
on a wobble, though.
Villa are all right, but 2-1 loss.
Yeah.
So in those last 3 games, they've conceded 9 goals. Not great. 1-0 loss to the worst team I've ever seen in the Premier League, in Sheffield United.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
And then a 2-1 loss to Brighton. So in their last 5, they conceded 12 goals. So I think...
You can say all you want about Ivan Toney being missing.
The problem
But
is
you can
they're
see 12
fucking
goals,
shipping goals.
And you can see 7 to teams that I would expect you to be highly competitive, if not better than. That's a massive issue.
Right.
And eyes need to be turned. However,
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I'm also going to bring up their injury list, which I think is one of the most under kind of noted injury lists in the Prem.
I'm seeing at least 3-4 big names.
Rico Henry, which I think we've said for a couple of seasons now.
Your draft.
Exactly. I think Rico Henry, one of the best left backs in the Premier League.
Very underrated.
So underrated. Probably was on the verge of maybe getting an England call up before his injury.
Oh, mate, 100%.
He's missed 35 games
from
his, and he's out now until the end of the season. So
that's career
huge.
over.
That's huge. And then on the other side, so they're both first choice fullbacks. Both of them out. Aaron Hickey out for 9 games so far. Aaron Hickey, who was just kind of getting into form, he was a big money signing for Brentford, and coming in, he didn't really hit the ground running, but has kind of made his place, got really kind of consistent, and then bomb, injury. First choice fullbacks out. In the centre of that defence, Christoph Ayer, kind of one of the most solid centre backs that they've got.
Very good player.
Him, Ethan Pinnock, and Ben Mee, like we said, that's a nice unit. He's been injured, not ideal. And then, in my opinion, when Ivan Toney's not playing, their best player is Brian Mbomo. And he's been injured.
Yeah, he's only missed 4 games, though. But his goals before he got injured were starting to dry up. He started the season really well.
Yeah.
He was scoring every other week. He was a menace. Because that was always something, like, last season it was Brian Mbomo, he just loves hitting the crossbar.
Mm.
This season, he was really getting the output there. They're also missing Josh De Silva, who was really putting in some performances late last season from the bench.
Yeah.
And, he's a very talented player as well. But for me, there's just a lack of quality.
I think there's just a bit of lack of depth everywhere. Like, so we're talking about the defence being bad, but now they've got a situation where Ivan Toney's out, Bomo's injured, Wissa's gone to AFCON, and Kevin Sharder's it. Yeah. So they're stuck with Keane Lewis Potter, who I think's all right,
like Lewis Potter,
but he's young and
he's not got anyone to feed off.
He can't be like your number 1 striker. That's like their 5th choice going into the season, and now he's their starting striker. So it's a little bit worrying times for Brentford. Brentford fans, hit us up in the comments. What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you just ride it out? Maybe a January spend?
The only good thing is like they've got a very solid manager.
Yeah.
They've got a very solid structure there.
And Ivan Toney
they'll probably get a few players in
coming back.
and they make smart recruitment.
Yeah,
they have smart recruitment, so they'll get a few decent players in. They'll have a couple wins in a row. They'll get a few points, and then they probably will be in a relegation battle for a large part of the season. But they're just fortunate that Burnley are far worse than them. Sheffield United, although Sheffield United beat them, are far worse than them. And then I think that
Let us know what you think. Is there any teams that we haven't kind of added to the inquest list? These, in our opinion, are the 3 teams that are in the wobbliest patch at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the table and it's starting to shape up now. You've got your relegation battle there. You've got your title charge between Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. You've got your top 4 battle between Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool,
Maybe Spurs.
Villa, Spurs.
Yeah.
It's starting to shape up. We're over the halfway point now. Obviously, a lot's going to change. This week, we've got no Premier League. We've got FA Cup.
Yep.
Some interesting fixtures there. I think you got Fulham.
Now we've got Liverpool.
Oh, no, you got Liverpool. That's it. And a big game. You got the derby, mate. The Sunderland Newcastle.
Oh, yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah,
I can't wait
huge.
to watch that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And obviously, lots of players leaving for AFCON now.
Yeah, it'll be
So-
interesting, the Prem over the next couple of weeks.
Obviously, Mo Salah is a massive loss.
Man City, no players that are going to AFCON.
I mean, Arsenal pretty good.
We're losing Tomiyasu, who's just coming back from injury, so that's a little bit annoying. And then El Neni, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, you're pretty decent. Spurs are losing. They're losing
Son.
Son.
Yep.
And I think De Gea missed out because of injury.
Oh, yeah. Papa's
Papa's might start. Sorry,
Yeah.
not Gay. But Gay's also leaving from Everton.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Doucouré's leaving, I think.
I like the list.
Mate,
but-
it's a lot. And like Hwang, who's on form for
Fucking
Wolves.
Hwang, mate,
I
what
love
a guy.
Hwang, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of players leaving. So the Premier League's going to take a massive turn yet again. And we'll be here over at BoreDraw to guide you through it all the way and give
Come
you our
on.
reactions. But yeah, guys, if you did enjoy, let us know down below. Get involved. Leave a few comments. We're trying to build up a little bit of engagement in the comments. You drop a comment, we might highlight it in the next video. Might get a little shout out, and we'll definitely interact with you and give you our thoughts.
Yeah, let us know. Is there any teams that didn't make the inquest list that you'd like us to talk about? Or teams that are smashing it that you think need some love?
And are Arsenal done for?
Come on.
Thank you guys. It's been BoreDraw, episode number 77, and it's live.